so many people on Twitter.
Yeah, and I'm going to post a picture about it, but Instagram's down too.
There is.
Oh.
Apparently, so is like WhatsApp and something else.
Oh, all right. Well,
something else at Facebook.
You know what? Today, I think a good mental health day for most of society.
There you go. Or you can do the work you're supposed to actually.
Coming up on today's show, the Gus Bus sells out. We've got winners and losers from the NFL and your shot to go to Earth Day birthday this Saturday coming up later on in the show. We'll do that in the 5 o'clock hour. Another whirlwind weekend is in the books. I feel like the NFL and college football landscape just gets crazier each and every week. This was awesome. This is what we live for as football fans.
And we haven't had it this awesome, not only just because of last year, but it's been a few years since we've had this dynamic of great matchups and underdogs winning and all that kind of stuff. It's been fabulous.
Yeah. So let's go back to last night. I know that we're going to dive heavy into this, so let's just get right to it. For me, Brady versus Bill last night lived up to the hype. Everything about last night was just football perfection. If you can't appreciate the ugly, intense feel of that game, I don't know that we can talk football. So you and I actually haven't discussed this yet. So maybe we're going to end up at a stalemate early on, 3 minutes into the show. But I thought last night was picture perfect in so many ways. It lived up to the hype. It was so much fun. I felt like I was watching a Super Bowl. That just felt bigger than a regular season game.
And that's where you took it one step too far for me. We're good. And then you said the word Super Bowl. I thought it was a great game. I did believe it lived up to the hype because it was a close game. You could tell that there was a lot of strategy put in on the Patriots side of really trying to give Tom Brady a hard time. And then Tom Brady didn't come out and throw for 600 yards and 7 touchdowns, which made it even better. And then there was love, and then there was a lot of animosity. I think it had all of the elements that we wanted and were looking forward to. And I love the fact that it came down to a field goal at the end.
And this is kind of what we were talking about on Friday, that if the Patriots had found a way to cover the spread, then that was going to be the best case scenario for us as viewers. And they did. And you could tell throughout the game that that's how this was all going to go down. You look at the way that Belichick schemed up that defensive game plan against Brady. He had him on the ropes the entire game. You have Brady's replacement in New England and Mac Jones actually looking better than Tom Brady last night.
It was great. He looked like Brady. He looked like off-version Brady, like we said he was, except he was just like a step better. He wasn't straight great value Brady. He was just like, I don't know this brand, but it's good. It tastes great.
Yes. Well, sometimes you get the store brand and you realize, damn, this is actually just as good as the other one. And look at the value I'm getting in this one versus the premium brand. And there's no difference between the two. Line them up, do a blind taste test or something like that. And Mac Jones definitely passed. It was 7-6 at halftime. And that's when you knew. When that game went to half and it's 7-6, I'm like, this is great. This is just so intense.
And I love that. One thing I love was that Tom Brady participated in the buildup. I don't know if you saw the video that he put out like 2 or 3 hours before the game, but that was a great participation.
The one where it was like a Madden video game looking thing?
Oh, no, this is the other one where it was like it was all of this glory and this pomp and circumstance about him coming back. And then there was this moment in where he was having an interview and he was like, there's got to be more than this. And it switches to all Tampa Bay. And he's like, allow me to reintroduce myself. It was great.
Okay, yeah. Well, the one that I saw had the same Jay-Z song in it. And I mean, all of that stuff. The fact that when watching the pregame on NBC, they were showing a package with Adele.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could be motivated by Hello. I mean, I was like ready to run through a wall. My wife's over in the kitchen crying. I'm like, what's going on right now?
And it was at that moment at halftime when we're looking at 7-6. And I was like, and we all knew, this game's going one of two ways. Either it's going to stay tight or Brady's about to blow this thing open. And I'm glad that it stayed tight.
And we saw it come down to what all great Tom Brady games come down to.
Yes, they do.
Which is bad weather and kicking. And this time, because Brady is the most fortunate individual in the history of sports, not taking anything away from him.
But you're very right.
He does ride the wave of fortune. Because if that was Tom Brady quarterbacking the Patriots, Nick Folk makes that field goal.
You doggone right. It doesn't, and it's so funny because he is the purveyor of great fortune everywhere he goes. And that's the only reason they lost that game. And I was rooting for that kick to go in. I really was. But not to be done.
Yeah, double doink or single doink had other ideas. To me, I'm watching all of this play out, and Bill Belichick would be the last person to say pat himself on the back for losing by 2 to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But I'll pat him on the back. Because to me, we were going to do this no matter what happened. We were going to do Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick, who won the fight. And even though Brady was announced the winner at the end and had his hand raised, I'm way more impressed with Bill Belichick than Tom Brady last night.
Absolutely. I looked at what the Patriots did yesterday, and I saw this as an opportunity for this team. I really feel like the Patriots can have said that was the day they turned the corner. Because the way they played that game, the way Mac Jones played that game, the way Matthew Judon played that game, like
he was so
firing on all cylinders. This was an opportunity for them to turn the corner, for them to turn the page, turn whatever it is and whatever anecdote you want to use, and become the team that Bill Belichick envisioned when he decided, I want Mac Jones and not Cam.
I don't know. The thing I can't tell is if this Patriots team can do this every week.
Well, I don't know, man, because that's a lot. It's a lot of scheming, it's a lot of strategy, and it's a lot of work. Those players outwork themselves more than they ever could have. But that's the problem, and this is something that I've told my daughter in the past, and I'm sure Bill Belichick feels this way too. Now you've shown me that you can do it. You're screwed. And so now that they've shown Bill Belichick that they have the capacity to this,
right?
They're screwed. They're going to be held to that standard from now on.
Because this felt like a Patriots defense from the mid-2000s last night.
Yeah.
And it was, to me, hopefully for them, they find a way to have this roll over and have it turn into wins against other teams that they face. But there's a chance this was just an isolated game where Belichick had enough talent to cook up something that he was just showing Tom Brady. This is what I was doing to the quarterbacks that I let you beat when you were playing for me. That's right. What it felt like last night. And Brady was confused and bewildered. And he was all of the things that all of the quarterbacks that faced Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were all of those years.
He's everything that Ben Roethlisberger was, and Joe Flacco was, and Peyton Manning was, and Andrew Luck. Everything that all of those quarterbacks had to face, that's what Tom faced. But the other part is, and this is one of the reasons I feel like Tom was able to just eke it out, was because it wasn't new to Tom either. Because the Steelers and the Ravens and the Colts and everybody else had attempted to do this to him for so many years that he knew if he just bided his time and just made it through and just gave it enough that he would come out on the upside.
And the Patriots offense isn't very good, And I mean, the
fact they still got Jonnu Smith as their number one receiver.
Yes. And the fact that they can only muster 17 points against a Bucs secondary that went into the game injured and actually got worse as the game went along with Carlton Davis leaving. Richard Sherman's out there. He's been on the team for 48 hours, and he's covering some of the best wide receivers. Yeah. It was crazy to see. And still, they have their own issues. But if you just look at the matchup that we were almost interested in, Patriots / Belichick defense versus Tom Brady, I think advantage Belichick last night, even though the Bucs come out looking like a winner. So while both teams, you can make a case either way that both teams should feel worse about themselves after last night. I make the case that both should feel good. Brady and the Bucs went into New England with Belichick fully scheming up and ready to go against them and got out with a win. They escaped with a victory. They should feel good about that. And then you go back to the drawing board and hopefully guys get healthy. And for the Patriots, I mean, you just made Tom Brady look like a fool in New England.
Yeah. But I personally think the Bucs should be a little bit concerned because as great as Tom Brady was able to be in handling the schemes that Bill Belichick threw at him, if the Bucs run up against a team that can finish, because that was the problem that New England was having last night. It wasn't that they couldn't move the ball. Mac Jones was dicing that defense up. He couldn't run the ball. They ran for -1 yards all night long. So all he could do was pass, and he was dicing that defense up. They just couldn't finish. The Bucs run into a team that can finish, they're going to have a problem.
No, they definitely have issues that they need to shore up. And the Patriots, they've got their own too. This was a heavyweight bout with everybody giving their best, everybody putting their best foot forward. and all of the emotion that went into it. Credit to Mac Jones. I thought he had a really good game.
He did.
And for Tom Brady, I mean, even though I thought Belichick kind of got the best of him, Tom Brady didn't turn the ball over. He did what he does. He did exactly what he needed to do in order to win that game. The last thing before we move on, when you see the Patriots driving down the field, there's a minute left. It's 4th and 3, and you know you're about to set up Nick Folk for a field goal that he can't typically make. I think his season long was 55. That one was from 57 in the rain, which makes it that much tougher. And come on, that added so much ambiance to the game. I love the rain in this situation. But if you're Bill Belichick and your quarterback's completing all these passes, he had 19 in a row at one point. Is that something? Do you need to go for that?
I'm going for it. I understand the concept. You want to give yourself the best opportunity to win this game. And at this point in time, it feels like maybe I don't know. The way Mac Jones was playing, man, 3 yards, that didn't feel like a lot to try to gain the way he was playing. Now, maybe you don't want to put that pressure on your rookie. Maybe you don't have that kind of confidence. Maybe you just really believe Nick Folk can make that kick. But I would have put more confidence in Mac Jones to hit that 3-yard out route and get a first down and march down the field and get the touchdown.
Yeah, I see where Bill Belichick, where his head was at with that.
Yeah, because they weren't finishing, so you're back in a position where you got to finish.
I'm fine with him attempting a 57-yard field goal. I don't think that was the problem because Nick Folk wasn't that far off. He almost made the kick. The bigger problem is that even if he made it, there was still 59 seconds on the clock. You're giving the ball back to Tom Brady and Gillette. I mean, I'm watching this and I said out loud at the TV, I go, "There's a minute left," which it's
that's
just
all you have to say. Yeah.
I mean, if he had gotten the ball back, even if he hadn't played great, Brady saves his best moments for times and situations like that.
Absolutely.
Come on. If you were going to give him the ball back, that was not enough of a lead going up by what they would have gone up by 1.
Yeah, I think it was like 1 or 2.
All you need, Brady gets 59 seconds in today's NFL to go down the field and get his kicker and field goal.